The Forgotten Battle of Nam Kaok, the war that no one remembered. It was the year 1969. The world was already drowning in the chaos of the Vietnam War. But far from the headlines, deep in the misty mountains of Laos, another war was raging. A war no one talked about. A war fought in silence, in the shadows of the great conflict next door. This is the story of Nam Kaok, a battle so fierce, so desperate, that even time itself tried to forget it. Chapter 1: The Valley of Silence. Nam Kaok was a quiet valley, surrounded by green mountains and endless fog. It was the kind of place where the morning mist hid the scars of yesterday's battles. But beneath that silence, men were dying every day. Officially, Laos was neutral during the Vietnam War. Unofficially, it was a battlefield. The CIA had begun recruiting Hmong tribesmen, promising them weapons, food, and protection in exchange for fighting against the Pathet Lao, the communist forces supported by North Vietnam. Among those Hmong fighters was Captain Tou Lor, a 28-year-old man who had never seen the ocean, never traveled outside his mountains, yet somehow became the commander of a secret army. He didn't fight for politics. He fought because the communists had burned his village and taken his brother. Chapter 2: The Secret War. The Americans called it the Secret War. While the world watched Vietnam, the CIA ran operations in Laos so secret that even Congress didn't know. Every day, unmarked planes dropped supplies into hidden bases. Every night, Hmong soldiers climbed into the jungle with old rifles and American radios. Captain Tou's unit, only 120 men, was stationed near Nam Kaok, a small patch of land with a tiny airstrip and a river that led to North Vietnam. To the CIA, Nam Kaok was just another drop zone. To the Hmong, it was home. But then came the reports. The Pathet Lao were moving south, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Nam Kaok was about to be surrounded. Chapter 3: The Last Stand. The morning of October 12, 1969 was quiet, too quiet. Tou Lor walked out of his bamboo hut, looked toward the hills, and saw the fog, thick and heavy, as if hiding something. Then came the sound, a deep rumble. Mortars. The first shell hit the airstrip, sending dirt and fire into the sky. The second one hit the radio post. By the third, the camp was already chaos. "Get to your positions," Tou shouted, grabbing his rifle. His men, barefoot, dressed in tattered uniforms, ran into the trenches. For the next 3 hours, Nam Kaok shook under the rain of explosions. When the fog lifted, the jungle moved, hundreds of Pathet Lao soldiers advancing through the trees, their red flags waving like blood. Tou called the radio. "Eagle Base, this is Fox Unit. We are under attack. We need air support." The radio hissed. Then a calm American voice replied, "Copy that, Fox Unit. Hold your position. Air support ETA 30 minutes. But 30 minutes in war can feel like eternity. Chapter 4: The Fight for Every Breath. The battle raged on. Bullets tore through bamboo walls. Grenades turned the trenches into graves. Tou moved from position to position, shouting orders, dragging the wounded out of the line of fire. A bullet grazed his shoulder, but he didn't stop. He saw his friend, Vang, trying to fix the machine gun jammed with mud. Tou crawled to him. "Keep firing," he yelled. Vang nodded. Then a mortar landed nearby, and he was gone. For a moment, Tou froze. The world became distant, just smoke, screams, and the taste of blood in the air. Then he stood, lifted Vang's gun, and fired until the barrel burned red. Chapter 5. The Skies Open. Finally, the sound of jet engines broke through the chaos. 2 A-1 Sky Raiders screamed across the sky, dropping bombs on the enemy lines. The ground shook like the end of the world. The jungle exploded in waves of fire. The enemy scattered, but not all of them. The radio crackled again. "Fox Unit, you've got a window. Evac in 15 minutes. Tou looked around. Out of 120 men, fewer than 40 were still standing. He ordered the survivors to gather the wounded and head to the airstrip. But the path was blocked. The Pathet Lao were closing in from the north. Tou made his decision. He stayed behind. Chapter 6. The Last Command. He set up the remaining defenders on the ridge above the airstrip. "If they take this hill," he said, "no one gets out alive." The men nodded. They were farmers, hunters, boys, but in that moment, they were soldiers. The enemy came in waves. Tou fired until his last magazine ran dry, then switched to grenades. Each explosion echoed like thunder in the valley. When the last plane lifted off, carrying the wounded to safety, Tou smiled. He knew he wouldn't make it out, but Nam Kaok would not fall easily. He reached for his radio one last time. "This is Captain Tou Lor," he said. "If anyone ever hears this, tell them we fought. Tell them we didn't run." Moments later, the ridge disappeared in fire. Chapter 7. Forgotten Heroes. When the smoke cleared, Nam Kaok was gone. No maps marked it. No newspapers mentioned it. The CIA wrote it off as a lost outpost. But to the Hmong people, it became a legend whispered in the mountains. Years later, when the war ended, an American pilot returned to Laos searching for the valley. He found nothing, only the rusted remains of a machine gun and a single dog tag, half buried in the dirt. It read, "Tou Lor, Fox Unit." Chapter 8. The War That No One Remembered. Today, few know about Nam Kaok or the men who died there. Their war was never in the textbooks, never in the documentaries. But if you ever travel through the highlands of Laos and listen carefully at dawn, the locals say you can still hear it. The echo of gunfire, the cries of men who refused to surrender, and the whisper of a name the world forgot, Nam Kaok. History remembers the loud wars, the famous ones, the ones with flags and victory parades. But sometimes the greatest courage happens in silence, in places no one remembers, by men whose names were never written. And that is the story of the forgotten Battle of Nam Kaok.